What's good? Welcome to another edition of Rumble House Sports. I'm your host, Jay.
And this is Chris.
And this your boy, Red Man.
Now, we all know that in 2020, the pandemic hit a lot of people heavy, but a lot of people were able to actually keep things going and found workarounds. You know, we saw the NBA playing the bubble, and we saw, the WWE Thunderdome and different things like that. And Ring of Honor, which is a very prestigious wrestling promotion within the wrestling community, Ring of Honor were able to, during that time, even though they're a lot smaller wrestling promotion, they were able in between that time, while not doing any live shows, able to do tapings and actually still put out a great product and keep their people on their contracts. But it has just come out that by the end of the year, everyone from that roster will in fact be released from their contracts, and they are focusing on making a better product and should be coming out, I believe, in the first quarter of 2022. They have put out some really great talent. The most loyal of these talents are Jay Lethal. Y'all know that guy has been with the Ring of Honor what seems like forever. What does this actually mean for the Ring of Honor, Redman? Is this do you think this might be the end, or do you really think they'll find a way to figure this out? They've been around for a while.
They have been around for a while. I mean, I know as in the world of professional wrestling, the juggernaut, of course, as we know, is WWE. And then, of course, AEW has started to, cover some ground, especially within the last 2 years. But Ring of Honor, man, is also a staple. Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling, I feel like, are two wrestling companies that do not get mentioned enough. And I think it's because they don't have of course, the mainstream attention that, a WWE has, and being able to reach a wider audience. But Ring of Honor, man, is a staple in professional wrestling. They've been around forever. So with that being said, I just can't imagine a situation. I mean, you had a lot of people come from. CM Punk was in Ring of Honor. I believe Bryan Danielson was also in Ring of Honor at one point in time. Ring of Honor really
was it Chris Jericho in there for a second?
Yeah, I think Chris Jericho was there too.
I mean, Ring of Honor goes back decades. I mean, they've been around for a long time. I just can't imagine a situation where Ring of Honor is no longer a wrestling product. But maybe it could be a situation that a TNA went through. Maybe they're just going to possibly rebrand themselves and try to make a comeback and say, hey, we're the new and improved Ring of Honor. Who knows? But I just find it hard to believe that they will not make a comeback because it is Ring of Honor.
Well, this is true, and I want to believe what you're saying, but at the same token, they have been through a lot, but they've never been through the pandemic. You see what I'm saying? That we always have to understand when talking about these things that this is somewhere we have never been before. This is something that we have never faced. So therefore, these things are hitting these people a bit different, and some of these people aren't recovering from this. Chris, do you think they can pull this out, or do you think this might spell the end for Ring of Honor?
I think with every month, especially since, AEW and WWE really never stopped. They found a way. And I think that with every month, as, AEW gets more popular, obviously WWE is going to continue to do their thing. But as those things continue to happen, I think the window could be getting smaller and smaller for Ring of Honor. They have a plan and they set the plan. They just need to walk the plan and put the plan out in motion. But I have high hopes for Ring of Honor that they can get it done. Did they mention that they were able to keep their wrestlers?
They mentioned that during the pandemic, they were able to keep their wrestlers. However, they are releasing everybody at the end of the year.
Okay. See, that's the scary part when you're talking about releasing everybody.
Right.
So I don't know at this point. We'll have to see. I mean, it's Ring of Honor. They have a prestige, and like Christian said, a lot of people don't give them the credit, and a lot of people don't talk about them like they talk about the other brands. But they've been here and they've been doing this. So hopefully, man, they can get some things together, man, and sign some legitimate talent. They might have to sign some cheap talent and people that hasn't really been known like that. If you're talking about a Jay Lethal would probably be their most paid athlete or one of the most paid athletes over there, because Jay Lethal is a true vet in this game. When we talk about Ring of Honor, being a Ring of Honor for years in the TNA days, Jay Lethal is that dude. So they might have to sign some new fresh talent where they're not having to pay as much and they're able to keep up the bills and keep the product running. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, some of those contracts that extend beyond the end of the year, they will be able to pay them until March. So I don't believe it is a money issue. I mean, they could be trying to trim corners, but they definitely are at least trying to take care of their people. And for them to be able to hold their shows together during that pandemic, I think is really, really big. Now, I think that AEW would be a good place for a lot of Ring of Honor talent, because while AEW is on this grand stage, they have a sort of a small promotion feel, and that's what makes them so great, right? They're not big with all the lighting, and they have a few pyrotechnics, when Chris Jericho comes out and Cody Rhodes, right? The people who actually own the company are big, have big positions within that company. So of course they're gonna have everything, but in the same token, that feel, and which makes it so great is that it kind of seems like that you're really connected to the promotion. I think that they could sign a lot of that talent, and I think that they'll fit really well. Now, speaking of signees, Bray Wyatt, his no compete clause is officially up. He was let go from the WWE 3 months ago, and his no compete clause is officially up. So therefore, he can now sign. He's a free agent, so he can sign with any promotion that he wants to sign with. Chris, who are we thinking that this guy is going with? He's going to AEW, right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, right?
I mean, that's what everybody is saying, and I think at this point, like, where else would he go? At that, his attraction.
I mean, he could go to New Japan Pro Wrestling. He could go over there.
No. Why would he do that when he could be signed to one of the biggest brands here in America? You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's true.
Unless you're from out there, people really don't consider going anywhere else unless they're not getting the looks from the big brands here in America. If you're not getting the looks from the big brands here in America, then you consider going elsewhere, or you consider going overseas, or whatever the case may be. But we know that Bray Wyatt's stock was already high whenever he was released with the WWE, or didn't re-sign with the WWE.
Yeah, that's kind of wild.
I believe that it has something to do with money, or whatever the case may be. I've heard multiple stories when it came to Bray Wyatt's release or walk away with the WWE, whatever you want to call it. But nevertheless, his stock is still high. So I see no other brand but AEW at this point. He could literally go to the building, knock on the door, and say, "Give me a contract," and they will easily. It's a no-brainer. What's his name? Tony Khan?
Yeah.
Tony Khan is probably on the phones right now as we speak. He's on the phones right now as we speak. He's probably foaming at the mouth to put some money in Bray Wyatt's pocket to have him sign with AEW.
Redman, this got to be Rick Rude's fault, right? The 3-month no compete clause, that has to be Rick Rude's fault, right, bro?
Hey, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I after I heard about that story, I thought about that 90-day no compete clause, and I feel like it does have something to do with Rick Rude, man. I mean, because that was funny, because Rick Rude, for him to show up on a pre-tape episode of Monday Night Raw that was scheduled to air, and for him to show up on that Monday Night Raw episode only for on that very same night or edition of Monday Night WCW, for him to appear with the NWO, by the way, on WCW, and by the way, on the same night had a commentary position with ECW. It's never been happening. This man is the only.
Hey, he's the ultimate triple threat. He had a legit appearance on the 3 biggest wrestling promotions on the same night. Yeah. I mean, it just doesn't happen. But anyways, like you said, I do feel like that probably is the reason why WWE has now put in that 90-day no compete clause to avoid situations like that from happening. But now back to the whole Bray Wyatt thing. I agree with Chris as far as AEW is the obvious choice. It's the sexy choice. I don't really see no other option out there. And I do believe that he is going to AEW. But I will also say this. Don't be surprised. Now, I don't know if they're necessarily going to have the money to do it, but don't be surprised if Bray Wyatt or Impact Wrestling entertains the idea of trying to work a deal out. Do not be surprised. And the only reason why I say that is because if you guys haven't been paying attention, Impact Wrestling and AEW has started to garner a very good working relationship and partnership. So it's a situation. So if Bray Wyatt signs with Impact Wrestling, it's not like he's not going to be able to go to AEW and wrestle a couple events and different things like that. Christian Cage is the Impact World Heavyweight Champion right now, and he's wrestling full time with both AEW and Impact World Wrestling. But to be fair, we haven't seen Christian in a little bit.
He was just at the last pay-per-view.
Of course he's going to come to pay-per-view. I'm talking about regular shows, bro.
But anyway, the Good Brothers, who are a part of the Elite, are the Impact Tag Team Champions. Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
But that relationship is closer with WWE. That Impact relationship is closer with WWE. By the way, shout out to Mickie James for being the the Knockouts champion, man.
I've heard you mention that, and I've been wanting to express what I thought about that. I don't think Impact Wrestling has any type of working relationship with WWE. I personally do not think that they've ever had a working relationship with WWE, because at the time when the wrestlers were jumping ship back in TNA, it's just like WCW. TNA at that point in time was perceived to be the competition. And so they were going to the competition. I don't really think that they've ever had a working relationship. That's just my personal opinion. Impact Wrestling definitely is working very heavily with AEW. And with that being said, with them working so heavily with AEW, I can't imagine a world where they'll be working with both AEW and WWE. Because I don't see wrestlers jumping back and forth between shows from WWE to Impact Wrestling. I actually see that happening with Impact Wrestling and AEW. Like I said, Don Callis, who is the manager for the Elite, was originally a manager in Impact Wrestling. They had this whole storyline where he got fired in Impact Wrestling, and then now he's, of course, with AEW. I mean, the point I'm trying to make is I wouldn't be surprised if Impact Wrestling tries to make a pursuit for Bray Wyatt. I don't necessarily think they'll have the money to do it, but I do see Impact Wrestling trying to build their brand, and what better way to build their brand than to bring in a Bray Wyatt and it's a win-win situation because both AEW and Impact Wrestling will be able to benefit off of it. So just to throw that out there.
Well, and they would have a little bit of money in the sense of they still have national TV exposure. Not as big as a TNT or not as big as a USA, but they still have that national TV exposure. We really appreciate y'all for tuning in with us on Rumble House Sports, man. It's your boy Jay.
And this is Chris.
And this your boy Red Bear.
And let's go!